Hey everybody, it's Jason with On the Play Games coming to you with another video of some live play from one of our On the Play Games network player game shop network featured shops. This time it's going to be final round. We'll be checking out from last Friday. We had a nice little matchup between two somewhat newer players. I guess I could still consider both of them. One of them, Brett, he's been playing a little bit longer. So he does have some lines of play and has come up with a pretty interesting take on a new Set 5 leader we'll talk about here in just a second. And then we have our buddy Chris, who's kind of new to the game, so he's learning, and you'll probably hear a little bit of that in our discussion as we talk about some of the mechanics and some of the actions and abilities of some of these cards that are in play. But I can definitely tell you from the last game that recorded, Chris has definitely started improving the use of his leader ability, and you'll be able to see that most likely if you've watched our previous video featuring a match of this Boba Fett deck. He is really starting to get a little bit better grasp at it every time he plays it, and I'm really excited for him as he moves forward with a deck that really does have some teeth to it. Boba Fett Yellow, from the Jump to Light Speed leader, it's doing okay. It's doing pretty well, and it's holding its own. So with that said, we're going to be taking a look at the matchup between Boba Fett Jump to Light Speed Yellow versus Darth Maul Blue from the Set 5 Legends of the Force. And this is recorded gameplay from Final Round Game Shop. One of our members since the second season of the Hyperdrive series that we ran, and we're glad to have them aboard. And they are trying to fill that Friday night spot for a Star Wars events being offered to the local community here in Charleston. So I'm really happy to be able to bring some of the gameplay from the tables when we met last weekend. And I do look forward to more players showing up and being a part of the fun this Friday as we look to make Friday nights happen for Star Wars, right alongside the Magic the Gathering Modern events that they run there on Fridays. Don't forget about those. Big shout out to the Magic the Gathering players that make it out there weekend after week out. And Final Round has been one of the top pillars for modern players in the area. So got to give them kudos. For about the last decade, the shop has been I think in existence about 10 years, and from the rip it has been the spot for the play of modern there. So we are going to definitely continue to support that shop and its efforts and keeping the community together in both not just the Magic area, but also in the area of Star Wars, as they are expanding from their weekly Tuesdays to include also our Friday night Star Wars events. So we are going to go ahead and transition over here. You can see that the gameplay is going, and there is some audio with it. I can't hear the audio, but we do have a pretty decent recording here of the two players making their initial mulligans and deciding who's going first and all that kind of stuff. It's a pretty fast-paced game. The deck that Brett's put together has some awesome synergies that he's using with the Darth Maul. Not to mention, Darth Maul is a very good leader against decks like Yellow. The Yellow Vader does a lot of work against those tokens, but also has some tricks up its sleeve, which you'll see here in just a little bit. He leads off, Brett does, with a there you can see the METALFAB token box, and Chris is now pulling out that initiative token by METALFAB. Really happy to see that on the camera, and Chris picked those up at a pretty cheap price now. They're about 20% less when you pick them up than they normally are. So they have a sale going. I have not checked to see that sale is still going, but nonetheless, if you get a chance, check out their site. They do have some great products there. So there was the leadoff of the bombing TIE fighters and a Dr. Pershing for the first round of play.
Figured out the trick to keep it from timing out.
And there's the Life Puck coming into play right there. It's a little oblong because I got this video stretched out just a tad bit. And we do have the speed turned up about like 10% just to kind of keep the pace and make sure the video is not too long for you viewers. And I do appreciate everyone who is watching along with us. And one of the great things about this matchup is we do get a pretty good look at the cards in each player's hands as they're making decisions. So that kind of gives us just a little extra info into the play. Now, Brett flips over that force token as he has a 5 toughness unit, and he is playing the 25-point special base that whenever he has a unit with 4 or more health, he gets the force. So really great at getting the force right away. Is the bonus to having that, and one of the drawbacks is that you only get the force once per turn. So there's a plus and a minus to it. All right, so we have a pilot being put onto the space unit. Brett takes a moment to kind of look over his decisions. He comes out with a power of dark side just to finish that. That's a great play because that is a 2-for-1. A little bit of the risk that you take whenever you put a pilot on a unit is that if your opponent has more than 2 resources untapped, and they're playing blue and black, there is the option that they can go ahead and get that power of the dark side off and finish your 1 unit. So it's usually probably best to get at least 1 additional unit out there before you deploy a pilot onto a unit. That way you have something else you can sacrifice and not have that 2-for-1 happen to you. Of course, then if he had done that, would have set him up into a turn 4 play, which things like Fell the Dragon and not so much anymore in the meta right now, but Takedown, it's still out there, it's still good. So we have a unit there that is going to be able to produce some indirect damage if it's defeated. And Brett also answers with a 2 for the Witch. There is a force throw. I did have to remind the players that that force throw does involve also drawing a card for your opponent and in one of their units, or defeat one of their units. So we got that called up there. It's pretty nice. It's a great card, but it does have that one drawback of your opponent does get to draw a card, but it does 5 points of damage for 2, so it's pretty strong. Now we are looking at another Dr. Pershing activation to draw another card. Brett's hand's getting kind of thick over here. And that can be dangerous when you're playing against a control list such as his. Now they go ahead and pass. This time the force token, it wasn't flipped, so it just stays where it is. But he would have not gotten that force token had he had used it. So he wisely chose not to. There's really no need to because it would not defeat the space unit there. And that being a 2-3 is pretty sweet.
3 indirect damage.
Okay, all right. So that's the 3-4, I believe, that allows you to draw a card when you play an Underworld card, I believe is what we're looking at. And
it says exhaust each unit.
Discussion about.
It is 3? It's 3. Yeah. You gotta do not with a diamond, and then 1 from him.
So it's indirect damage
The 1
that
from him
is
on this guy.
dealt.
Yeah, you get to choose where it goes.
It's
As
just,
long as the
I just
unit
wanted to
goes
warn
where
you
it
if you take it this one.
Attach it, right?
Yeah, it exhausts you.
Brett, I think wisely puts it on the base there. Not losing a Dr. Pershing so he can continue to just get card advantage. It's already drawn him 2 additional cards, and you can see in his hand there he's got some pretty sweet options already. That Maul's lightsabers would come in pretty good. He drops down a Grand Inquisitor, which has hidden, so it can't be attacked. Chris goes ahead and goes to the base for 2 more points of damage, which is definitely the right thing to do. There's the use of the Force by Darth Maul. Typically, you would turn him sideways, but we know what he's doing there. But 1 point of damage each, and now you see those tokens coming out for damage tokens for the from METALFAB. And then an additional unit gets played, a 2-drop. I believe that's the droid that does damage whenever an enemy unit is defeated, which can be very strong.
And then he also has a free.
That's one of those set 5 cards. This deck that Brett's playing has got a lot of set 5 action in it. I do have to give him props for all of the different set 5 cards he's kind of put together on this list. We don't get to see the whole list, but that's okay because he's probably play testing this for potential for the planetary qualifier coming up on the 23rd. Remember, we do have that in the Goose Creek area. We got a pair of 4 toughness units on Brett's side of the board with Darth Maul, so he gets to flip that Force token one more time. And Chris has the initiative, I believe. Oh, wait, no, here we go. Initiative token didn't move, but it looks like the first play of the round is the use of the Force to ping both the units. And now those units are coming in.
No, this is direct damage.
Oh, direct damage. Okay, so he was at
At least one is. You got some indirect damage being assigned. Looks like,
Keep hitting the time.
potentially.
So you hit the time. It just turns time on.
They're talking about the life counters now. One of the tricks we found with the life counters after talking to Brandon from METALFAB is keeping the timer running on it, because it does have a battery saving feature that after 5 minutes of it sitting there, it will shut itself down just a little bit for you to kind of save that battery, and that is always a nice little feature to have, just in case you accidentally forget to turn it off. But if you keep that timer running, it just keeps on moving. There's a tactile base for 4 from the Grand Inquisitor, no longer having hidden because he is now in play at the beginning of the turn. Now, there's another 2 points coming in. I believe at this point, Chris has already claimed that initiative. Like I said, unfortunately, I can't hear the audio as I am recording, but I have watched the video and have a pretty good understanding of what kind of conversations we were having. And all right, this is the deploy turn for Darth Maul, and this is a really bad spot to be in.
I have a very bad habit of the second that I
With
flip
Darth Maul
on,
being able to do, I believe he does a point of damage to 2 units when he attacks also. So it's 5 to the base, and then he pings both those units. Now this defeats this unit. That unit gets to do indirect damage. I'm not sure if Chris realizes that. Oh, yep, he does. Good. Even though he has the initiative, he still gets to use that triggered ability because he has indirect damage that is being assigned to his opponent. And so Boba Fett gets to bump it up. Good job on that one, Chris. I don't even know if I recognize the fact that you caught that when we were playing. And now we have an Anakin putting a -3/-3. And remember, every time a unit dies, that droid is putting another point of damage on the base. So very, very strong. The space unit that Chris has deployed is one that increases indirect damage by 1. It's a very good unit to have in the list. It's also a set 5 card. So you got another great example of these players playing some set 5 Legends of Force cards. We are, I believe Chris at this point has the initiative. And this is always one of those situations where you're going to deploy your leader, and a lot of times the leader just dies. So trying to protect his leader, he doesn't deploy him. I don't think he realized at the moment that he could have offed 2 of the units, especially that droid that's doing the extra point of damage to him every time one of his units dies. And that would have been at least 6 points of damage taken off the board of him coming at his base. But, you know, that's the purpose of us coming out to these weeklies, is to learn and play and do the reps and kind of check things out. So Chris is laying out. Now this is a very great unit. It does 3 points of indirect damage. Boba Fett's going to add an additional, but that space unit is going to add to both of those situations. So it's going to be a total of 3 plus 1 for 4, and then another 2 from the Boba Fett activation. So the 1 plus 1 giving you 2 there. So that's a lot. And if any of it is assigned to his base from that unit then gets to ready and go in for an attack. So he is deciding on his indirect damage placement. I do apologize for the Anakin being kind of cut off there at the top of the screen. But we do know it's up there, and Brett is amassing quite a large ground force. And now the lightsaber has a target for the Darth Maul to attack, and overwhelm damage goes to the base. So very strong play there. He did not allow that unit to untap, though even if he did, he just would have killed it. But yeah, a little bit of damage goes back to the Darth Maul leader. And as you can see from the hand that Brett has, and just his hand size alone compared to Chris's hand size, that Dr. Pershing did a number. Now this is a good flip here, because after all that indirect damage has been done, he's now going to flip and do 4 points of damage that he gets to choose where it goes. So he can start off in some of these units that have 1 health left. He could also elect to put some points on that Anakin to prevent a force token from being created. Looks like he might be coming back on his play. Alright, now he deploys. There you go. Okay. I think there's a little bit of a conversation on those indirect damage assignments. Well, that's a sizable space unit. And the problem is Brett has 4 untapped resources. Now, Chris is pushed kind of into a corner, so he has to do something to this board. So he makes the best play he can make possibly at the time. It's just unfortunate that Brett over there with the Maul deck has Power of the Dark Side in his hand, which is a nice clean answer. Also, and that would be really the only answer, because the Fellow Dragon would not be able to touch that unit. There is Force Throw, and it looks like he has a 5 cost in his hand. He's just going to go ahead and tap the 3 and put the, yeah, that's the right play. Again, it is a 2 for 1, but Chris was just forced into a corner there. Not much that he could do, and he has 2 cards in hand, so he's kind of a little light on resources. So Brett is taking full advantage of that card draw engine that he put out with Dr. Pershing on turn 1. Again, some more of those METALFAB tokens being put on the base. And we see another space unit come out. It's going to put a little indirect damage. And now a Force Throw. He does have 2 force units. He has Brett discard his last card, and it's enough to defeat the space unit. But the good news is that droid wasn't out, so the extra point of damage did not get put on Chris's base. So that is pretty solid. And right now, it's really a tough spot to be in. I believe there is lethal on the board for sure. That is a good play. Solid choice. We'll tap that Maul down for 2 turns. And then, unfortunately, Anakin gets to just kind of come on in for its 5.
So we'll do 5 to base.
Even though it has 3 points of damage on it.
The base has got
That
1
is
hit
a
point left.
pretty sizable chunk every time it comes in for 5.
3.
And right now, even though the board state is pretty rough, as far as like card advantage, units on the field, or in the arenas, is pretty heavily favored, favoring Brett right now in the Darth Maul list. Chris is, hanging in there. He's only 10 points away from winning this game. If he could pull off something, another point of damage goes there. That put that up to 5. So we're getting awfully close to being able to get that Anakin off the board. And Brett, I believe, took the initiative. The token didn't move. But the last card that was played was by Chris. Or no, it was Count Dooku. Excuse me. So I think Chris has the initiative. And there we go, making sure that the Darth Maul doesn't tap for that 1 turn due to the no good to be dead. And Chris decides to pick them up just because they're just too much on the battlefield, and that ground arena was really jammed full of units. The Darth Maul lightsaber is really, really good when there's a unit to attack into and get that overwhelm damage in. The only thing I think I would have done different is I probably would have just gone ahead and put all the damage from that unit onto the base and let it untap, because you're just going to kill it with Darth Maul anyway. But Brett is playing a 25-point base, so life conservation, base health conservation is something that you always want to keep in mind when you're playing a 25-point base. Being a ECL or Energy Conversion Lab player myself, with decks like Sabine, and I've even done it with Young Han. I've tried with Young Han Green to play ECL. You do not want to be in a situation where that base gets below 10. Then whenever you get below 5, things can get really bad for you really quick. So that was a pretty good game there. And since these were just kind of pickup games, they decided to play another one and see how that goes. Gotta say, Chris has definitely got the fortitude. He's not a quitter, so he's going to push through. He is working on the list that he has played maybe less than 10 times probably in paper. So I got to give it to him, and it is not a fully fleshed out list. He is probably playing against Brett with a list that is pretty close to right where he wants it to be. Now this, I can already see it looks like an Agabagda's in the hand. That's going to be pretty rough. I would imagine that's going to be a turn 2 play. That's a pretty decent hand. I don't know if I'd mulligan that one. Over here with Chris, we should hit him mulligan down 2. He has a very quick hand. Now he did decide at the last minute to switch out what I think is a 5th brother. And I like 5th brothers. It's a decent unit. It does a lot of damage to ground units as it attacks into the base. And so you kind of get like that extra reward. There is a mulligan that's being taken away by Brett, which is totally fine. He gets to choose last between the 2 players, even though Chris is put down. He does get to make that choice. Which kind of leads me to an interesting interaction that we had at the World Championships. Floor Judge Bobby Wilson, one of the local judges here, was telling me about a situation that was happening in some of the top tables. of the World Championship where a player put down his 2 resources who had the initiative, so he was to make the decision first. He put down 2 resources. His opponent then decided to take a mulligan, and then that player that had put down his 2 resources decided he was going to go ahead and take a mulligan, not realizing, I don't think, that he had already indicated that he was keeping his hand to his opponent. So by the time they stopped things, the cards were already shuffled back into the deck, and judges came over, they conveyed, they came back, looked at the rules. I think they had to create an answer for that situation, which was that the opponent gets to pick your 6 cards out of your deck for your opening hand, which, wow. So just be careful when you have the initiative and you put down 2 cards that you state that you are not, that you are making decisions, that you have not decided if you're keeping the hand or not. There's another force throw, a little reminder of drawing that card's going to come up here in a second. Do make sure to point out to Chris that it is his responsibility to make sure that his opponent draws that card, and it kind of falls on both of them in a way, but it is a part of the card's ability or effect that is to the disadvantage of Chris. So if he were not to remind his opponent to draw that card, and later on someone were to call a judge over, it could be considered cheating, because that is the failure of announcing the full effect of a card. And the thing that you're not announcing is a detrimental effect. Now this is where it gets interesting, because he puts 1 point on the body, put 2 on the base, and this is where the reminder of that unit, if you put any points on the base, he is going to untap. So that is what that card reads. So he goes ahead and puts the 2 points of damage on the base, which is not a bad place to be for that decision. Chris uses his Boba Fett, which is really the biggest improvement I see in the gameplay between this match and the last match I recorded with him. So again, just he is staying on top of using that Boba Fett's triggered ability to exhaust whenever indirect damage is dealt. Also remember, it doesn't matter if he's claimed initiative for the turn or not. That ability still happens. There's a flip of the force token. Had Chris attacked into the Agdo Bogdo, the Agdo Bogdo would have taken the 2 points of damage, going down to 3. The force token would not have appeared, and Agdo Bogdo would have kept the 3 points of damage on him because he wouldn't have had anything to attack into to heal back that life. So we had a bit of a discussion about how Agdo Bogdo's ability works, and that triggered ability is not 2 separate abilities. It's one ability that both halves of the ability have to be met for it to then trigger. So that card would for Agdo Bogdo to gain to heal 2 when attacking, and then also heal 2 when defeating a unit. That would have to be listed as 2 separate triggers. It'd be on attack, this unit heals 2 damage, and then when this unit defeats another unit, it heals 2 life. Or 2 health. Now this was an interesting card. He blasts for like 6 points of damage, I think there. So yeah, that was the Boba Fett activation. That's a very, very good card. And he has a 2/1 sitting out there. Now that looks like that droid again. That's out. Plus the card in the back row is the droid that defeats a non-unique upgrade, I believe. So there is an attack in to the trooper there, which triggers a point of indirect damage. Boba Fett was already used earlier in that round, so I didn't get to use his ability twice. I believe at this point, Chris has the initiative. And again, we're seeing that dominance that's happening over here on Brett's side. He has...
So how much damage did...
He doesn't have the card advantage that he had from before. However,
Right. So
he does have the
when he
board.
attacks and when he defeats the units.
I think this is where the conversation continues.
So he attacks,
I'm gonna
he
let
takes
y'all
the
just
damage from
listen.
combat. Your unit died. And because your unit was defeated, then he gets to heal that 2 life.
So I take 2 damage from your guy and
So
heal him 2.
okay. So when he attacks, he heals for 2.
No. When
It
he
says
attacks,
When he attacks.
when he attacks,
And
he has to defeat a unit, and then
And this is really what it's all about. You know, kind
when he
of
attacks
learning
and defeats the unit.
So it's not when he attacks.
by playing.
Right. So then
Yeah,
all
that's
the
what
damage
these weeklies
he's
are about.
If he ever gets to 5 life,
So it's not 2 different triggers.
Because
When he attacks.
you know, as you play in these weeklies, not only do you get to learn how to play your cards
Doesn't that
better,
read as 2 triggers?
but you also get to
so let's say he attacked a 4/4.
learn
Point on that
or
damage.
see how other cards that your opponents are playing
Because even if
play.
he killed the other unit,
And that is
he would
very
have 4
important.
points of damage. He already has 1. He reached 5. And
So he does
they
get
both
that force
died
token
at the same
flip
time.
because he
Defeated at the
has
same time. And
a
then when the
Ogdobago
heal
with
part
4 health on it.
happened, he would already be defeated too.
Would it have to? Do you understand what I'm saying?
I understand what you're trying to say, but it doesn't work like the way you're trying
Right.
to say.
So would the wording have to be and or?
No.
A little bit of a conversation
Or
about
it's worded
the
exactly how
Ogdo-Bogdo's
when he
trigger.
attacks and defeats
I can understand how it's worded. It's a little bit confusing,
Your guy still did 2.
but really what it boils down to is both
In my
an
head,
attack
this is 2 separate.
and a unit has to be defeated. Both of those things have to
And
happen
then when he defeats, he heals 2.
in order
It's
for
when
that
this whole thing happens.
'Cause
healing
that would
effect
make
to
this
trigger.
guy make
when he
sense.
attacks and also defeats
I
a unit.
get what
The
you're
2
saying.
things have to happen
I
together.
understand what you're saying.
So if he had just attacked your base,
So,
he wouldn't
just
kill
your
anything.
basic
No
kind of,
defeat was defeated.
you know, learning
Do you guys understand
as you
what
go,
I'm trying to say?
and the
I
learning
understand
curve is
But that's not what the
quickly
because
going
The
up for
point of him
Chris,
is he
because
can't
he is,
attack when he's fully healed.
like I said, he's improved with just the activation of his leader
You have to
from the
figure out
first
ways to
day that he
damage to
played
him
with us.
because he's a 3-cost unit. It's a
believe
5/5.
at
He's a monster unit.
Yeah.
So there
Ran
should be some
line
type of like downside to him.
against
Downside is you can't attack until
Scott's
he's damaged.
I know.
yellow,
It's
green,
easy
black
to 1 point
Vader
damage on
list.
him.
It's not that easy.
Just, I don't think
If you're playing
I've
it-
seen
okay,
him at
I
any
play
point in time in this match
You're-
miss
You're
an
trying to see
opportunity
it
to
as 2
activate
separate
that
things that are going on.
for
But
It's
it's
one
written as
situation,
one thing.
one cause and one effect.
So like if he was to attack and
huge.
not
Which was
defeat
my
a unit,
second question.
if he was to attack and
How
not
would
defeat
it
a
have to
unit,
be worded for?
But unfortunately, Ogdo-Bogdo does heal only when it attacks and defeats.
When non-attack and then
But there isn't a. There's
not
Both
really
of those
defeated.
things
There's
are
not a.
attack.
there's not a when you
there are when
By the
defeated.
time the attack is
No,
but you're
resolved,
talking about like when you
damage
defeat
is
something.
dealt to both units.
Right, when this unit
Ogdo-Bogdo
defeats
does not reach 5 life. Remember, the game state will automatically, as soon as it happens, as soon as the unit reaches its maximum health points, that unit is
does
defeated.
enough damage to kill him.
So
I'll exhaust him.
Ogdo-Bogdo wouldn't be there to heal itself anymore.
Can't ready
So
up.
Chris decides that 5 points of damage is too much to take, so he goes ahead and plays a No Good to Be Dead, which is really one of the best tempo answers there is in Yellow and Villainy, or Cunning Villainy. There's a swing in for 2.
Another torpedo barrage.
There's another one of the 5 damage plus 1
Which is the first one? 6.
events.
5.
Yeah, should be.
And it only costs 3.
Oh, that's
It's
your hand. Okay.
Yeah, this is my hand.
a pretty amazing card for its casting cost. I definitely would include it in the list. It's definitely worthy. But as Chris gets more of the cards for his list, that card might find its way out. Because cards that let your opponent make decisions instead of you making the decision typically aren't where I want to be all the time. However, that is an affordable 3-cost event.
Yeah, well, you
And-
said
and-
I don't have any units.
Yeah, I was like,
and with Boba Fett backing it up, if he had that droid space unit that adds 1 point of indirect damage for each indirect damage instant, you would find that that card would do a massive amount of damage. I think 8 is what it would do.
Actually,
That's as much as a
so I'll spend
planetary
2,
bombardment.
tap him, he doesn't untap.
All right, now he's going to tap down the 2 damage droid. Another 2 damage comes in. Now you notice Brett does not put that damage on that droid that he just attacked with when it comes to indirect
2
damage.
damage to your base,
he,
and then 1 indirect damage.
Keeps that droid alive. And I feel like, I don't know if that's a 1 or a 2 that's on the droid at the very top of the screen, but if it is a 2, that daring raid probably would have been better played there
I will spend
to end any additional damage that it could do. At this point, the Darth Saber, not Darth Saber, the Maul Saber doesn't have something it can attack right into. And you see it in his hand in the back there.
Everybody but the Ogden
But what it does is it still allows him to put it out.
And do -3.
And he could have just put it on his Maul. It doesn't make him have to attack into a unit.
It's gonna attack.
He can just decide not to attack.
Base for 5.
And the next action he takes, he attacks with the saber. So there was a nice little set of ping and
base 4.
Maul coming in to finish things off for the bombing TIE fighters, which are a good card in this Boba Fett list. Even though they got answered both times pretty quickly before they got to do any damage, a situation where they have the initiative,
There's some things that can be like
that is
control, I don't
a
get more
very, very good unit because it hits for 3 indirect damage when it attacks, and then also Boba Fett can bump that up to 4. And if you have that additional droid space unit out, that gives 1 additional point of indirect damage each time the indirect damage is dealt. I mean, that can add up really fast, and then ends up being 5 points of
On Fett's fire spray.
damage. Now, this is a great card, and it would be a wonderful
if he
play.
gets Boba Fett.
The Fett's Fire Spray. So, definitely going to say great play. It's just unfortunate that the Fell the Dragon just happened to be in Brett's hands, which now makes it kind of awkward because Chris was definitely looking to flip onto the Fett's Fire Spray, and honestly, Brett could have walked him into an even worse situation potentially by letting him deploy onto him, do his damage to the units, most of which would be
But you can go ahead and just
stop the Ogdebogdo, and that's about it. No, he would kill the Ogdebogdo and the droid.
this on him.
So the point of damage was dealt to his base from the defeat of an enemy unit. That comes from the droid. It's at the very top. That's what its ability does. And
I just want the stats.
Yeah, so this one here, you actually can just attack to the base, right? Okay.
there goes the lightsaber onto the Ogdebogdo. Brett doing it absolutely correctly by just turning the unit sideways and leaving the upgrade sitting straight. That's the way you do it. And now the damage is really coming in heavy.
5, sure. Wasn't keep track.
And again, Chris gets Brett down to 10 points of life, health on his base. So not bad at all. Both players doing very well in their attempts there. And Brett putting together a nice little Maul deck that we may see more of when we get into some more weeklies coming up. And hopefully this Friday we get to see some more of that Maul action as he continues to work and improve on his deck. And I think he has a pretty solid list there. We ended up playing a match afterwards, and Brett pretty much schooled the young Han in our match. We went 1-1, so and then we called it for a night. But yeah, it definitely has a lot of gas to it, and I do think that Brett's onto something there. Chris also, like I said, new to the game, really starting to show that learning curve, just jump right up. And he asks questions that are good questions, and that's important. You know, you hear guys talking to each other about different angles and plays and lines. But the good thing about it is that they got to play some Magic, or excuse me, they got to play some Star Wars Unlimited, and you know, you got the Darth Revan Galactic Championship mat out there, and you have that liberated slave ship. So that ends the video, and that is going to be it for today's video. Again, make sure if you haven't already done it, there is a video that is already out that we are doing the giveaway. I believe this video should be up tonight before we get done with everything. So it'll be a last chance getting in tomorrow for everyone. And then I'm going to record the video of the double randomization. So I'm going to randomize once, everybody's name, then randomize twice. On the second randomization is where that person is the one who wins the drawing. Then right after that, the second drawing will take place, where we are going to be giving away a full play set of the foil hyperspace version of the weekly participation pack Han Solo Pilots. So I am really excited about giving those out as well. We'll have to work out how to get those out to people. I'm going to be at a lot of planetary qualifiers in the North Carolina and also at the Goose Creek one. I do plan to be there. You know, this is a way of kind of showing that, look, you know, things are in the past, keep moving forward, right? But there is definitely an opportunity for everyone who enters to win both a Life Puck from METALFAB, and I will be getting an email address from the winner so that I can then give it to the METALFAB owners, and they will contact you and work that out directly. And then I will be reaching out to the winner of the Han Solo playset to get that playset out to them. So with that said, this is Only Play Games. I hope you enjoyed the video, and whether it's day or night, may the Force be with you.